David Bender is with us. He's the political director of Progressive Voices, political activist, writer, and broadcaster. ProgressiveVoices.com is the website. The Twitter is at PROG Voices. And David, welcome back to the program.
Tom, it's always good to be back, and please give my regards to Dana Siegelman. We spent time at the convention with her father, who is now serving. He is a political prisoner.
Yeah.
And I've known Don Siegelman for over 30 years. He is a man of complete integrity, fundamental decency, and this is as great a miscarriage of justice as anything I've ever seen in the country.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. And in fact, every single day on this program, we ask people to, we point out that Don Siegelman is America's newest political prisoner, and ask people to go to free-don.org and sign the petition asking President Obama to pardon him.
Absolutely.
So
good.
David,
good on you.
Here we are just 2 weeks out from the presidential elections, a day less now. Yep. And I mean, the landscape, the voter suppression landscape is breathtaking what's going on. People getting phony letters down in Florida, the stuff going on in Ohio. Ellen Ratner on this program, her family's from Ohio. Her cousin is running against Sherrod Brown, and she made a comment on the air here on the show a couple of days ago that what she's seen there is the ugliest she's ever seen. What's your sense of what's going on and how this election is shaping up?
First of all, I'm shocked that Ellen Ratner's cousin is Josh Mandel, so I need to recover from that for a moment.
It's by marriage.
Okay.
He married her cousin or something, or her sister. I don't know how it all works.
There's
but
no blood involved. That makes me feel a little bit better. But my take is that there are rhythms in these elections, Tom, and I've been doing them, unfortunately, now since 1968. And there are so many similarities that come back to me as I look at how this campaign has played out. The one that first rings a bell is 1968, is Richard Nixon, because Mitt Romney is running Richard Nixon's barely successful campaign against a non-incumbent, Hubert Humphrey. He ran as a reinvention, as if the old Nixon hadn't happened. Remember, they actually created, with the help of Roger Ailes, who was fresh off producing the Mike Douglas show.
And had made a proposal to Richard Nixon for what he called GOP TV.
Exactly right, which became Fox News later on. But Roger Ailes created a new Nixon. And the new Nixon was a nicer, friendlier, warmer guy who had no ideology at all, but he had a secret plan to end the war in Vietnam, which you would only get to find out if you voted for him. Now, does that sound at all familiar to what we're dealing with here? We have a guy who will create 12 million new jobs, so we don't tell you how until after the election. So that is one familiarity. Another, sadly, is 1980, where the threshold for Ronald Reagan was simply not tripping over his own shoelaces on the platform with Jimmy Carter. He was then judged in the one debate that they had to be able to serve as commander-in-chief. And that is the threshold that many in the mainstream media are saying that Mitt Romney crossed the other night, that he looked like he'd be a plausible commander-in-chief, even though he doesn't know that, the route to the sea is not through Syria for Iran. But it wasn't the words, it was the demeanor. So those two things ring to me. But I'll tell you what I actually think the parallel is, and it is all in Ohio. This is 2004 in reverse. I actually think we are going to see a situation where President Obama carries Ohio and wins the election. Do I think it's safe 13 days out? I do not. The other thing that is different than our history and what you and I grew up with is we keep talking about Election Day, Tom, because that's how we've been raised. And there is one day where people go to the polls. But turns out now that it's election month. There can't be an October surprise because it would have had to have happened in September. This whole election, a third of the vote, maybe more than that, has already been cast in Iowa, a lot in Ohio. Early voting starts in Florida on Saturday. All these crucial states, voting is happening right now. And we can measure it, we can see it. And based on the metrics, based on the numbers that I'm seeing, it's going to be darn close. But I think if we keep our foot on the gas and every day people work to get votes in that day in these states, President Obama will be reelected.
Yeah. Well, we shall see, David. I would not be at all surprised to see 2004 all over again, where there are all kinds of questions. I mean, Ohio was lost by 60,000 votes, more or less. 186,000 ballots were never even opened. John Edwards really fought John Kerry. He wanted to contest that election. Wanted to point out that the votes weren't even counted in the state. They were counted or tabulated rather, and fed back to the Secretary of State by an out-of-state company that was doing all the secret email for Karl Rove. And there's some really serious questions about what's going on in Ohio. And now the company that's doing that is in Virginia, and it's another Republican company.
And I know you don't mean, and none of us do, by reporting on this accurately and getting people to do the kind of work that you do and Greg Palast does and others to talk about Brad Friedman and talk about all of these horrible things that happen, to dissuade people from the importance of their vote.
Well, this is the thing this is the reason why the Democratic Party officially refuses to address the reality that our vote has been privatized, which is insane. I mean, of all the things that you're going to privatize, the vote should be the very last thing, because it's the mechanism by which everything else happens with regard to the commons, and whether there might be some, you think that these machines can't be manipulated, or that the tabulators or just dirty tricks can't be played. Talk to Don Siegelman.
Of course they can, but we have to see enough votes that it moves outside the margin of error.
Right, that's the thing. If they're going to steal 3 million, we need to show up with 5.
Exactly, and that's what has to happen in Ohio. I believe it can, and we're not telling anyone that their vote won't be counted. We're telling them that they have to get so many votes that there's no way they can steal this.
Right, and if possible, show up in person and make sure that your name is on the roll, and do not take a placebo ballot.
Absolutely.
Fight to make sure that you actually get a real ballot.
Absolutely right.
So anyway, that's that. So you're optimistic. I'm pleased to hear that, David Bender.
I am cautiously optimistic, and it will remain so until Ohio is declared for President Obama, as was the case 4 years ago when Ohio was carried by the president. I happened to be broadcasting from Grant Park and watched as Fox had to, with their Roger Ailes faces, melting, say Obama carries Ohio.
Yeah,
I want to see it again.
It's going to be very interesting to watch. David Bender, the website progressivevoices.com for more information. David, always great to talk with you.
You too, Tom. All the best.
Thanks for dropping by.